Hello everyone, how are you? It's good to see you back again. Welcome to Week 13 materials for English 1 for Diploma 3, KU31101. And with me, Miss Mona Lisa Pasaribu, we are going to discuss the topic for this week, which is about esports. And we're going to discuss expressions or grammars related to this topic. So let's check the video. So as you can see, the outline for this video is we are going to have a quick review from last week's material, and then we'll go to discuss the objective of the lesson, and we'll talk about the topic for week 13, which is about esports, and we will look at the critical reading and thinking, and then the expressions of agreement and disagreement, and also the practice online debate. So a very quick review. I know this one has been a question in our practicum session last week. Which gadget do you think has evolved significantly over the years? And I think now you have one gadget that you think is very significantly improving over the years, and you already discussed this in your assignment. Yeah. So this is just a quick review from last week's material. Now we will talk about the objective for this week. So this week's video will be identifying some expressions of agreement and disagreement in related to esport, and then we're also going to practice using the expressions in a debate format. And because we are still in online mode, so we're going to do the online version of the debate, which is going to be fun. Alright, so yeah, I'm not really a fan of esport, to be honest, but I'm trying to Google some esport games over here, and I'll see quite plenty. We have Bitron, Barak, Boom, Evos, Onyx, and etc. Yeah, so there are quite plenty, and I think there will be more. If you are a fan of esport, then you would know what are the other esport games. Yeah. So this just to put some of the examples of esports. Now a very quick question as a warm-up. I have one question over here. What is the difference between gaming and esport? Alright, so for this question, what I want you to do, I want you to answer this question in the YouTube comment, okay? So what is the difference between gaming and esport? Is it the same or is it different? If it is different, what's the difference? And this is just a quick question for checking your prior understanding towards what an esport is. iRacing, Dota 2, and LOL. And here are the reference to the definition of some esport games. Alright, what do you think of the games that I just shown you, or some other games in esport? What do you learn, or do you learn anything from the games, or from this game that you have played? Is there anything that you can improve after joining the game or doing the game? Okay, so please prepare your answer for these questions. What do you think of the games? Do you learn anything? If yes, what do you learn? And is there anything from the game you can improve? Because this is a very good question for IT students, because you can actually, if you know the language to improve the game, improve the application, then it will be a lot easier for you to improve it. Yeah. All right. So now we are going to look at a strategy for reading comprehension. I know over the semester we have discussed some reading strategies, and today we'll be looking at discussions for SQ3R as the reading strategy. So what is actually a SQ3R? It is a well-known strategy for reading, and it stands for survey, question, read, recall, and review. Okay, so what does it mean? So when you are reading a text from the title itself, you can actually kind of survey the context of the reading. Okay, and then and you start questioning, okay, is it going to be like this, is it going to be like that, and then you will continue with the reading of the text itself, and then you will recall some of the important information, and then you will have a review, so like putting it back again in keywords that helps you to understand the text. Okay, so those are the strategy for SQ3R. If you want to know more about SQ3R, I'll provide you with the link over here, so have a look at this. So now we will talk about the critical reading. So what does it mean by a critical reading? Critical reading means engaging in what you read by asking yourself questions such as, what is the author trying to say, or what is the main argument being presented? So you're not only, if you are reading, so you're not only reading, but you start asking questions, so being critical. For example, is there any message behind this text? So it's not only just a writing, but this writing wants to, persuade you to trust to the argument or else. Okay, so critical reading involves presenting a reasoned arguments that evaluates and analyze what you have read. So it's not only just read, and then at the end you don't know what the reading is. So as you read, you start questioning, you start giving arguments in academic sense. Okay, so it's not only just blaming, it's not criticizing, but it's advancing your understanding, and not dismissing the understanding. Okay, so that's the definition of critical reading. If you want to know more about critical reading, I also provided you with the link over here to help you with understanding what a critical reading is. Now have a look at this reading first. I know this one is quite extensive, but please do the reading for this slides over here, because after this there will be a question related to the reading. Okay, so the first thing that I want you to do is to practice the SQ3R. So survey esports, what the definition of esports is, and then after that question, what kind of text will I actually get, and then after that read the text and then recall the information and then review again the keywords of the text that can help you to understand the text better. Okay, so that's the first SQ3R. Now we are going to talk about the critical reading. So as the critical reading says, that you need to question and look at why the author is writing this text. Therefore, I'm going to ask you two questions over here. Yeah, so what is the author trying to say, and then what is the attitude of the writer about esport? So of course you won't be able to answer this question if you don't understand the text. Okay, so read the text. So it's not only reading, but reading and understanding, and then after that you will be able to answer both of these questions. Yeah, if you cannot find the answer, let me know. I'm happy to discuss more with you in the class. Now we'll talk about critical reading to the process of critical thinking. So of course you won't be able to do critical reading if there's no process of critical thinking. Okay, so critical reading involves presenting a reasoned arguments. Therefore, you need to advance your knowledge. Okay, so the process of critical thinking is that if you want to speak up your critical thinking, there are some ways to do it. The first one is using informal discussion, the second one is using speech, and the last one is using a debate. Okay, and the last one is going to be the thing that we are going to discuss. Alright, so if you want to express your opinion in terms of saying what is different from your opponent, or maybe agreeing to your opponent, then what you can say is there are some expressions that can help you. Okay, and because we are going to talk about, something in your mind, then you can say, in my opinion. Okay, and there are more over here. I think, I consider, from my point of view, and etc. Okay, so of course, when you say these expressions, you also need to add it with the reasons why you say it. So, like for example, in my opinion, I think esport is good. It is not enough if you only say that esport is good. Why it is good is the important part. Okay, you need to also give the reason why you express your opinion. Okay, and here are some of the expressions to express your opinion. Now, what happens if you want to agree to your opponent or to your colleagues? Okay, the easiest one is to say, I agree with you, I think so, and etc. Yeah, so there are some useful expressions over here. And if you disagree, there are some other expressions. So you say, I don't agree, I disagree, I don't think so, I'm afraid it's not quite true, I take a different view. Yeah, maybe what I'm asking you to do now is actually to check which one you are familiar with and which one you are not familiar with. Like for example, I think, I don't agree, or I disagree, or I don't think so. Those are quite common to be used in daily conversations. But then, like for example, I don't share your view, I take a different view, that will be something that is less common. So try to use these expressions more often. That way you are getting used to it, a different way of telling disagreement or expressing disagreement. Okay, same thing like the agreement and also expressing your opinion. Alright, so now we'll talk about debate. So what is actually a debate? Debate is a formal discussion on a particular topic in a public meeting or legislative assembly, in which opposing arguments are put forward. So obviously there are two teams debating. There are positive team or government team or affirmative team, you name it, and there's negative team or opposition team. So in a simple way, I know some of you may not like debate because, sometimes people think that debating is about fighting your arguments. It is true, but then it's not only about fighting, but it's about, speaking constructively or in a structurized way. And it also will train you with your confidence speaking in front of other people. Okay, so a simple way, so I'm going to just tell you a simple way to do the debate. So there are four four structures that you can follow using arrow. Okay, so we have assertion, reasoning, evidence, and link back. So what does it mean by assertion? So assertion is when you state your arguments, and then the reasoning is the reasons why you say these arguments, and then you give proof, the evidence to it, and then you link back again, you kind of summarize, that is why I believe blah blah blah. Okay, so I give you one example over here about for example, we talk about boxing brings harm than good. So this is what we call as the topic, or we call it motion, and the positive side would say, I agree with the topic because so you can say, I agree that boxing brings harm than good because boxing does not promote healthy life. As the evidence, 80% people get injured after the game. Probably you can also say the source over here, and then after that you can say, therefore I believe that boxing brings harm than good. The simplest way is like that. And then in a negative side, you can say, I disagree that boxing brings harm than good, or boxing is actually giving good things, but rather than harm things, because it is part of exercise as your reason. Okay, and boxing demands a lot of energy, therefore boxing needs strong stamina. So based on this, I believe that boxing brings more good things. Okay, so this is the simplest way of delivering your arguments in a debate. Of course, there are more other ways, but I think this is the simplest way to do it. You can always explore. I think there are plenty other way of delivering your arguments. Like for example, some debaters would start with the evidence first. So it's like an eye-opening, fact given to the audience, and the audience will say, that's very interesting, something like that. Yeah, so you kind of bring the evidence first, and then you give your statement and then the reasons behind it, and then you kind of wrap it up again in the link back mode. Okay. All right, so now we'll talk to now we come to the practice. So what I want you to do is I want you to look at these two topics over here. Do you think sport is better than movies? And should animals be used in sport? So for these two arguments, what I want you to do is I want you to prepare your arguments. Try your best to make the arguments or to present the arguments in the oral format. Okay, so you present your argument and then you give the reason to it, and then you give the evidence, and then link it back to like the example that I have shown you. And of course, when you give the evidence, it's not only the evidence that one-sided. Okay, so you need to look at what do we call it? Yeah, a general evidence that is practicable in all most countries, I would say, or most areas. So it's not only, in my house, sport is better than movies, because that won't represent the whole community. Okay, so please prepare your arguments, and also do not forget, when you add the evidence, you need to add with the source of the evidence as well. So what we will do in the practicum session, we're going to have a discussion on the online debate. So please prepare yourself. And I also want you to look at the, go back again to the expressions that we have discussed earlier. So the way to express your opinion, the way you agree with people, and the way you disagree with people. Okay, so please do that, and then you look at that, and then look at the ones that you think is less commonly used, and use that for your online debate later. So don't use the one that is too mainstream, because that one you have studied that previously. So like for example, I disagree, I agree, those are very common. Use the one that is not very commonly used. That way it will help you to add your expression knowledge, English expression knowledge. So that would bring me to the end of this video. So if you have a look over here, there are checklists. So if you can, so you can assess your progress. If you understand some of the expressions to tell your opinions, you can give checklists. And then some vocabulary related to e-sport issue, you can check this one. And some doing a small debate, you can also check that one, yeah? And that will bring me to the end of my video today, everyone. Thank you very much for watching this video. Here are the references for this week's material. Please do the exercises that I have asked you to, and if you have questions about the debate, about the materials, you are most welcome to ask me. And please prepare yourself for the practicum session, because in the practicum session, we'll do some online debate practice. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day, and goodbye.